All right, peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. Yesterday, I did a video highlighting another neo-Nazi white supremacist rally that was held in downtown Indianapolis over the weekend. I think it was Saturday. Now, yesterday, the police chief and I guess the head of the Fraternal Order of Police released some statements about that rally. Now, what's disturbing to me is neither of the two condemned that act. They released those blanket PR-made statements that said we protect the First Amendment rights and we're dedicated to, making sure safety and diversity is withheld in our community. Blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to read parts of those statements, but first let me show you this news video that highlights their lack of leadership in regards to people doing things that could incite violence and perpetuate hate throughout the country. And once again, this video is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
Well, tonight, the chief of police and the head of the Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police are responding to a viral video of a Nazi rally held downtown this weekend. Now, we've made the decision to not show the video to you here, but in it, you can see that about a dozen men dressed head to toe in all black, they carried swastika flags, chanted white power, and marched around doing the Hitler salute. Now, some even carried assault rifles. Chief Bailey writing on X tonight that IMPD closely monitored that demonstration, but says, quote, safeguarding First Amendment rights, even for those whose views we find reprehensible, is a responsibility we take seriously. But let me be clear, protecting those rights is not an endorsement of those beliefs. Not now, not ever. Again, that's the chief there. Now, FOP President Rick Snyder responding, saying, police officers throughout Indianapolis remain focused on safety community-wide and are standing the line for all law-abiding persons. We are confident in the direction from IMPD's chief of police that anyone who acts with evil intent via criminal behavior or violence will be met with the full enforcement.
And they cut the article off right there. And you heard the police say, well, this is not an endorsement of those acts, not now or not ever, but did you condemn those acts? Did you condemn those beliefs? And that's what I find most telling. Oftentimes you have to look at what is not said to actually see what is being said. Now, also the Fraternal Order of Police said that he stands in line with all law-abiding citizens. And by that, I think he meant he stands in line with those people who were out carrying flags, saluting Hitler, screaming white power with masks and guns on. According to him, those are law-abiding citizens. Now, let's take a further look of the complete statement of both of these individuals. It says, Bailey released the following statement via X. Yesterday, a hate group chose to march in downtown Indianapolis. Their attempt to spread messages of fear and division stands in direct contrast to the values of our city. Hate has no home in our community. It does not define us, and it will never be welcome here. So, okay, if that is how you feel, then why not condemn the act? Then he says their attempt to spread messages of fear and division. No, that is not an attempt. That is a successful act of doing so. Now let's read further. The entire IMPD hears and recognizes the concerns and deep pain this activity causes our community. We had no prior knowledge of the demonstration, but immediately diverted resources to closely monitor the march. This allowed us to address any violations of the law while prioritizing community safety and upholding our obligation to protect those exercising their First Amendment right. They said they had no prior knowledge of it, but they diverted resources to monitor the march. Now, if you say that this has no place in your community, then why not divert those resources to shut down the march? Now, he goes on to the First Amendment rights thing. Safeguarding First Amendment rights, even for those whose views we find reprehensible, is a responsibility we take seriously. But let me be clear. Protecting those rights is not an endorsement of those beliefs, not now, not ever. I also encourage our community to remain vigilant, report any suspicious or threatening activity, and continuing engaging in the collective work of keeping Indianapolis life safe. We will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with community partners, organizations, and community members committed to unity, respect, and safety for all. Now, you're encouraging the community to report suspicious or threatening activity. Is this march with guns, Hitler salutes, symbols of hate, not threatening activity? You kind of be losing me right there. Now, he say hate may try to march in our streets, but it will never dictate the spirit of our cities. Indianapolis' strength lies in its diversity, resilience, and commitment to each other. Now, he says hate may try to march our streets. No, hate did march your streets. Now, let's go real quickly to Rick Snyder, the president of the Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police. He said this weekend, our downtown was infiltrated by a hate group espousing rhetoric and symbols that threaten the peace and tranquility of our capital city. In 2022, our collective organization raised several concerns and asked questions of our elected officials regarding right-of-way laws and public safety matters related to the public protest. The response and sense of urgency was lacking, to say the least. As constitutional law enforcement officers, we respect everyone's right to free speech and are bound by court precedent that recognizes even vitriolic speech such as this is protected from interference. That being said, we also recognize the symbols of hate, violence, and intimidation that were displayed. Such a display does not represent our Circle City and is repugnant to the dignity of Hoosiers. Once again, we call on the mayor and the governor to ensure all available resources are applied to identify and understand the ingress and egress of such individuals into Indianapolis, including their mode of transportation and their origin of travel. To our residents, business owners, and visitors, we want to make clear, never again is now. Police officers throughout Indianapolis remain focused on safety community-wide and are standing the line for all law-abiding persons. We stand united. Now, this statement, once again, is a blanket statement. All throughout the statement, he is more concerned about the people's breaking laws regarding to protests rather than what their protest was about. And he said, we recognize the symbols of hate, violence, and intimidation that were displayed. If it doesn't represent what you guys want in your city, then why do you allow it? Once again, the First Amendment right does not protect, as someone mentioned in the comments on those articles, it does not protect hate speech. So by you guys respecting their right, now mind you, I promise you, if it was a black group, walking down the street screaming death to Whitey, they would have been broken up immediately. And you see in that video I shared yesterday, I'm going to put that in the comments as well, that the police were riding around basically escorting them, in my opinion, throughout the city. Now, the guy mentioned also in 2022, they had a similar event and he reached out to somebody, trying to get clarity on what people could and could do in those type of situations. And he's talking about the response was lacking at best. There he is passing the mark. Bottom line, long story short, point blank, period. If this is not something that you want in your hate, if in your city, if you don't espouse hate, intimidation, and fear, then you will not allow it to go on, in my opinion, respectively. So this is once again just one of those blanket PR statements because people are up in arms about this type of behavior. You cannot say that this is free speech when they're displaying weapons, wearing masks, screaming white power, and saluting Hitler. I don't think anybody would agree that Hitler was a man of peace, a man of community, a man of diversity. All the things that you espouse that your city wants to exude. But nevertheless, we see this go on time and time again. When it happened in Cincinnati and the black people came out with their masks and guns, Cincinnati government immediately made it illegal to walk around masked while you're over and carry. So this is, once again, a tale of two Americas. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, peace and blessings.
Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.